Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Mr. Sandman. Today I'm going to be sharing some of the strategies surrounding the Prophet. But first, I want to teach you how to do the Prophet glitch. So first, you want to press X, then Y. Psych! There isn't one. Yeah. The strategies showcased in this video will mainly focus on 3v3, but can certainly be applied to 2v2 if you adapt it well enough. Definitely not 1v1 though. I'm making this video because it was so very highly requested. Kappa.
The golden rule of YouTube is this: anything said private stays private.
So overall, the Prophet is probably the worst leader out of the three, so you're at a disadvantage if you're facing either a Brute or an Arbiter. I mean, you can do what I do and use the Prophet as kind of like a challenge. Before I explain some strategies, in all situations, I highly suggest you upgrade to Fuel Rod since it adds damage and health to the Prophet. Without it, the Prophet will be terrible on offense and defense. The first strategy is the Infantry Spam. Now this may take a couple of forms. Either Honor Guards by themselves, or Grunts and Honor Guards, or even Jackals and Honor Guards. Where would you use each strategy though? Well, if you want to go on the offensive but don't want to commit a lot of resources, then just make Honor Guards. This will allow you to quickly transition into Banshees or whatever you want. Now if you want to do a little more damage, then you should do a Hall Rush. If you have a choice between going for a UNSC base and a Covey base, you always want to go for the Covey base on the other team. And furthermore, you always want to go for the Brute's base as he's the most dangerous. There's an exception to the rule of attacking the Covey base, is if they have too many turrets to handle. You then want to attack the base two ways. If you're versing a noob, then just aim main. If you're versing a decent player, then you cannot really aim main as you'll just upgrade their main and your damage will be for naught. Plus, they'll usually have their teammates defending their base. So what you should do instead is strip their base of their supply pads. I wouldn't go for the temple unless all the supply pads have been destroyed. For the next strategy, it involves building a hall. Copy the layout on screen. Basically, evenly build both Grunts and Honor Guards. Now if there are no Covey bases on the other team and you have to attack a UNSC, then you definitely don't want to aim main no matter who the player is. That moves us on to our third strategy, and that involves Jackals. I tend to use this strategy against UNSC players as they build a lot of flamers, and I mean a lot. Of course, if they're good players, then you won't have to worry about flamers as 90% of the time they'll build hogs. I just like using this strategy against UNSC players as you'll get a lot more damage done, and also Honor Guards double as anti-infantry, which is good as well. So if you do know that the UNSC player that you're attacking is good, then just use the Grunt and Honor Guard strategy. I touched on this before in the Arbiter tutorial, but on Exile, you always want to build on the Expo next to you. This is for two reasons. First, it denies the ability for the enemy to troll you, and secondly, you get units out quicker. Just copy the layout on screen and build in this order. Another thing to be wary of is that hog players will try to prevent your troops from going through the teleporter. To combat this, you have to know if they are building hogs, then quickly build one turret on the side of the hall with a Fuel Rod upgrade. Speaking of hogs, I like to upgrade the Prophet to the Sentinel upgrade to give the Prophet the ability to kill a few more hogs. Now the final rush strategy you can do early game simply involves using your Prophet by himself. It definitely needs a Fuel Rod upgrade though. Basically you just have to make the enemy spend resources trying to defend against you. So just strip their supply pads until they decide to defend. The perfect scenario is if they build turrets and flamies to defend your Prophet. Meanwhile, you've had all this time to get double summons up and spam those Banshees in. The reason this works so well is that most people, when they defend against the initial rush, then think that you'll continue to build that type of unit for the rest of the game. So them building flamies is great, because it means they have wasted all those supplies on a unit that cannot attack air. Of course, the tougher the opponents, the less likely this is to happen. I won't be explaining how to set up the double summon on both the single and double base, as I already did that in the Arbiter tutorial and it's the exact same. While you go into double summon Banshees, don't ignore the Prophet entirely. Send him to the expansion bases to add some extra pressure and annoyance for the enemy. Then before he dies, recall and continue the cycle. Now Prophet may be the worst Covey leader for offense, but definitely is the best for defense. All you need to do against another cubby's offensive attack is to upgrade your Prophet to Fuel Rod and then just stack up honor guards until you think it's enough to stop the push. What I like to do personally is let the Prophet snipe the little units while I let the honor guards melt the leader. Honor guards do incredible damage to infantry, no need to build a hull. The final strategy is for a very specific scenario, and it's when you're playing a 3v3 and you're on an all covey team, possibly the worst leader combo. If there is at least one unity on the other team, then one of you will probably have to go wraiths. The Prophet should begin building wraiths as soon as possible and not go on the offensive. First, you want to get an expo with your Prophet, then build both bases like this. All the while you want to defend the cubby bases with your honor guards. Why get 2 bases? Well, to defend against hogs, you are going to want to get Tech 3 wraiths. Tech 2 wraiths are fine, but if you lose all of them, then you might lose. Tech 3 wraiths guarantee that even if you lose all of them, you can still defend. Of course, if you're doing this on Frozen Valley, then you probably only need 1 base, as you've got the option of a reactor. That's all the strategies of the Prophet, and I hope you guys learned something. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like and let me know what other kinds of tutorials you guys would like to see. Cheers guys. But please, whatever you do, don't spend the whole game getting stars on your Prophet. Now please enjoy some of the messages I got while collecting these clips.